Hi, you're listening to Book Chat with author Vivian E. Moore.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Hello and welcome to Book Chat. I am your host, author Vivian E. Moore. Hope everyone had a very happy holiday season, and I hope that you had a great week, and I hope you're having an even better weekend. All right, so we're going to get straight to today's show. The title is Say Less, and the topic is how not to lose your readers by using unnecessary words, okay? So in a writer's world, less is often more, right? So, with every sentence and every word and every punctuation mark that they use, it carries the potential to either captivate or to alienate the reader. And we never want to do that, right? So one of the most common mistakes writers make, including myself, is overloading their work with unnecessary words. And that can often lead to a lack of clarity, first and foremost, engagement, and then impact, because we always want to make sure that everything we do is very clear, it's engaging, and then it's very impactful, right? So the solution to that, of course, is to say less. So what I want to share with you today is how you can refine your writing by embracing simplicity and by eliminating all of the excess, all right? So one thing that you can do is to respect the reader's time. Yes, I'm saying it again because it is so important, because somehow we never think of it in those terms. But, those readers, they are busy people just like we are. And so they actually take time out of their day to sit down and read our work or someone else's work. Okay. And so we want to make that as easy for them as possible. So always remember to respect the reader's time. Because, again, they are busy. Whether they're skimming a blog post on their commute or they're catching up on emails, they appreciate writing that gets to the point. And don't we all? Okay? Because, even though we're writers, still, whatever we're doing, we want to make sure that that it flows and we get to where we need to be in the shortest amount of time possible. So those rambling sentences and those redundant phrases, what they do is they risk losing the attention before you've made your point to the reader. And we never, ever want to do that. So here are a few examples. So first of all, instead of, quote, since the meeting was rescheduled to a later time, we will need to adjust our plans accordingly, unquote. So that was very long, right? A lot of words. Okay, so instead of that, how about we do this? Quote, the meeting was rescheduled, so we'll adjust our plans, unquote. That sounded so much better, right? Of course it did. So the second thing we want to do is to actually eliminate all the redundancy. And you may have never thought of it in those terms, but sometimes you can say the same thing. You may say it in a different way, or you may add it to your writing. Sometimes you get a lot of double negatives when you're writing, and that actually takes away from your writing as well, because we know that redundancy in writing is like running in circles. Okay, you're putting in all of that effort, but you're actually going nowhere, and so that's a waste of your time and the reader's time as well. So. And I see this in a lot of writing where you will see words like absolutely essential or free gift or all these things. Those words are just doubled up unnecessarily because it's not necessarily. If it's free, of course it's a gift, right? If it's essential, you don't have to say absolutely because yes, that means it's important. It's vital. So what you need to do is choose precision over repetition. I know it sounds good, and you may think that it's helping to get your point across, but actually what it's doing is just slowing things down. So you need to eliminate all of that redundancy. So instead of saying the reason why this is important is because it helps us achieve our goals. Okay, so that sounded good, right? But you can say it better by saying this is important because it helps us achieve our goals. So what we did was we've taken out of that sentence why this is important, okay, and shortened it to this is important. Okay, we don't need to tell them why, because if we have that word in there, important, then they know it's important, and you don't have to say why. All right. So the next thing you can do is to cut out filler words. Okay. And you may not think about that either, but, and I see that quite a bit as well, where you'll see those words like very and really and actually and just. Okay. What those words do is they weaken the writing. Okay. And sometimes you may need to put very in there, or sometimes you may need to put really in there, but you really need to, watch how many times that you're doing that, because truly, they are filler words, okay? So they may seem conversational, but they really don't add a lot of value, okay? So instead of saying this project is very important and really needs our attention, instead you can just say this project is important and needs our attention. Okay, it gets the point across in the same exact way, but you're using less words. You're using less filler words, okay? So we talked about this a couple of weeks ago about using verbs, nouns, interjections, and conjunctions and things of that nature when writing. Okay, so in this episode, I am strongly suggesting that you use those strong verbs and nouns. Okay, now is the time for you to do that, because why use two weak words when one strong word will do, right? So you need to replace all of those phrasal verbs or those vague descriptions with precise alternatives, all right? So instead of saying she quickly ran across the street to catch the bus, you can just say she sprinted across the street to catch the bus. Okay, you use those strong verbs and those strong nouns to get the same point across, So it just makes sense. Instead of saying quickly, just to say sprinted, because that to me shows more action than actually saying quickly. Okay. So we need to be ruthless in editing. And yes, I said ruthless, because if it's not needed, then you need to cut it out. All right. So we know that the first draft is our opportunity to pour all of our ideas onto the page. Okay. But the second draft is where you can transform all those words into something powerful. Okay. So if you're like me, you like to read your work aloud. And if you like to read your work aloud, then you need to ask yourself these questions. Does the sentence add value? Can I say the same thing with fewer words? And am I being repetitive? And if you answered yes to all those questions, then you know what you need to do. All right. So this is just another example. So you can say, just for example, it is important to note that the survey results clearly indicate a preference for simplicity. That sounded so important, right? So now let's trim it down a little bit. The survey results show a preference for simplicity. The same exact sentence, just using fewer words, okay? And it sounds so much better. It flows so much better when you take out all of those unnecessary words, because it gets the same point across without using them, right? So, here are a few benefits of actually saying less. So when you write with brevity, it isn't about cutting corners, but it's more about respecting your reader and also your craft. So you need to be more clear and more concise in your writing, and that will help you to be a better writer, to be a more effective writer, because that's what we want to do. We want to learn as we go, and to become better as we grow as writers. So, and the first thing that it does is it helps to improve the readability of what we've written. It helps to increase the impact of what we've written. And then it helps us to build that trust with our audience, because we always want to do that. We always want to write and have them to always come back to our books, to the stories that we tell. And if we are doing all the things that I've tried to impart to you today, then that will help you to be successful. Okay? So, by saying less, you actually are saying more. Okay? Because sometimes less is more. And then too, your words, they will carry more weight, and your ideas will shine through. If you do all of these things, it will help those ideas shine through. And then too, the most important thing of all is it will help your readers to stay engaged from start to finish. Okay? They won't start your book and, don't even get halfway through it before they're putting it down, because it's just too many words. It's just too much redundancy in what you've written. You're just repeating the same words over and over again. You're putting in all of those filler words that just actually take away from the story. So don't do that. Help to make your book flow by just reading it first yourself, and then taking out all of those unnecessary things that just take away from the story. Okay? So by saying less, you say more. Just remember that. Okay? And remember this simple mantra, because this will help you so much. Say less the next time you write. Okay? Because you'll be amazed at how much stronger your writing becomes. All right. So guys, that is the show for today. And I hope that you found most of the things, if not all of the things that I've tried to impart to you today, useful. And I know for seasoned writers, you already know all of these things, but there's always room for opportunity to grow, to learn more. So, don't ever think that you know everything, because you don't. As writers, we're still learning as we go. And our readers, they help us, with all of those, all of the things that they have to say about our books, whether it's good or bad reviews. That helps us to grow as writers, because we need that. You have to take the bad with the good sometimes. That's just the way everything falls. It sort of level things out when you have the good and the bad. It helps you to not get a big head and think that, oh yeah, I've mastered this, I've got it down, because there's always room for growth. And then for the new writers that are coming on, I hope that this will be useful for you. And another way to make sure that it is useful to you is to listen, like, and share. Okay, because that helps me to grow as a writer and also as a podcast host. And I do appreciate you. I hope that 2025 will be your year, that it will bring you many blessings and great joy. Okay, and as I always say, at the end of every show, always remember to tell those who you care about the most how you feel about them today, because tomorrow is not promised. Today may be the only chance you get to say it. So on that note, I love you. I hope you love me back. Until the next time you hear my voice, God bless you and goodbye.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.